Yesterday we finished reading 3 suttas. We read until 4 ways to arahantship. Today we're going to continue the next sutta, 4 kinds of persons. These 4 kinds of persons or monks are found existing in the world. What for? Here, monks, a certain person gains internal serenity of mind, but does not gain the higher wisdom of insight into phenomena. Another person gains the higher wisdom of insight into phenomena, but does not gain internal serenity of mind. Another person gains neither internal serenity of mind nor the higher wisdom of insight into phenomena, and another person gains both internal serenity of mind and the higher wisdom of insight into phenomena. Footnote number 12. MP, the commentary explains internal serenity of mind, ajatang sheto samatha, as the concentration of full absorption. In other words, jhana, and the higher wisdom of insight into phenomena, adipanya dhamma vipassana, as the insight knowledge discerning formation, sankhara parigakha vipassana jnana. Okay, this is the commentary. Okay. 4 kinds. The first one we highlight gains internal serenity but no higher wisdom of insight. The second one has higher wisdom of insight but does not gain internal serenity of mind. Yeah. The third one, none of those 2. And the fourth one, having both internal serenity of mind and also the higher wisdom. Sister Sakya, would you like to continue?
Therein, monks, the person who gains internal serenity of mind, but not the higher wisdom of insight into phenomena, should approach one who gains the higher wisdom and inquire of him, how, friend, should formations be seen? How should formations be explored? How should formations be discerned with insight? The other then answers him as he has seen and understood the matter thus. Formation should be seen in such a way, they should be explored in such a way, they should be discerned with insight in such a way. At a later time, this one gains both internal serenity of mind and the higher wisdom of insight into phenomena.
Okay, thanks, Sister Sakya. The first one, the person who gains internal serenity of mind but not the higher wisdom. Then what should he do? He should approach one who gains the higher wisdom and then ask him, how should we see formations? How should we explore formations? How should formations be discerned with insight? Okay. Footnote number 13. Formations, sankhara, are the conditioned phenomena comprised in the 5 aggregates. On the aggregates, see text chapter 9, section 4.1 A to E. That will be the next chapter. Okay, Sister Shawmei, would you like to continue?
Therein, monks, the person who gains the higher wisdom of insight into phenomena, but not internal serenity of mind, should approach one who gains internal serenity and inquire of him, how, friend, should the mind be steadied? How should the mind be composed? How should the mind be unified? How should the mind be concentrated? The other then answers him as he had seen and understood the method thus. The mind should be stated in such a way, composed in such a way, unified in such a way, concentrated in such a way. At a later time, this one gains both internal serenity of mind and the higher wisdom of insight into phenomena.
Okay, thanks, Sister Shomei. Now, the second person has higher wisdom but no internal serenity of mind. What should he do? He should approach the one who has internal serenity and then ask him, how should the mind be steadied? How should the mind be composed? How should the mind be unified? How should the mind be concentrated? And next, Sister Aikin, would you like to continue?
Therein, monks, the person who gains neither internal serenity of mind nor the higher wisdom of insight into phenomena should approach one who gains both and inquire of him, how, friend, should the mind be steadied? How, friend, should formations be seen? The other then answers him as he has seen and understood the matter thus. The mind should be steadied in such a way, formations should be seen in such a way. At the later time, this one gains both internal serenity of mind and a higher wisdom of insight into phenomena. Therein, monks, the person who gains both internal serenity of mind and a higher wisdom of insight into phenomena should establish himself in just these wholesome states and make a further effort for the destruction of the taints. From Anuttara Nikaya 4, section 94. Okay.
Thanks, Sister Aikin. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, the third one, probably most of us, we have no internal serenity of mind, nor the higher wisdom into phenomena. Okay. So what should we do? We should approach the one who has both and ask him all the questions about gaining wisdom and serenity. And for the last person who has both, they should continue the effort, establish himself in these two wholesome states, make a further effort until the destruction of the taints. So in this sutta, it's a case of asking the right person, asking the expert. If you have no serenity, ask the person who has serenity. If you have no wisdom, ask the person who is wise. I think another challenge would be to find these persons nowadays. Not many. But also asking the expert, I read in other books. We should ask the right person. There's this book called The Richest Man in Babylon. The two men have a conversation, and the one guy asks him, so where do you put your money? Where do you invest your money? And the other guy said, oh, I asked this bricklayer to buy some jewel, buy gemstones. And the other guys called him, why would you trust a bricklayer to buy jewel or gemstones? He's not the expert. Well, but a fool must learn. And then sure enough, the money entrusted to the bricklayer, they just buy some fake gemstones and then they got scammed. So the lesson here is we should ask the right person. We should ask the SME, subject matter expert. Okay, back to the sutta. Sister Billy, would you like to continue?
Three, the hindrances to mental development. Then the Brahmin Sangarava approached the Blessed One, exchanged greetings with him, sat down to one side, and said, Master Gautama, why is it that sometimes even those texts that have been recited over a long period do not recur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited? And why is it that sometimes those texts that have not been recited over a long period recur to the mind, let alone those that have been recited? Brahmin, when one dwells with the mind obsessed by sensual lust, overwhelmed by sensual lust, and one does not understand as it really is the escape from arising sensual lust, on that occasion, one neither knows nor sees as it really is one's own good, or the good of others, or the good of both. Then, even those texts that have been recited over a long period do not recur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
Sister Billy. Footnotes number 14. Oh, such a long footnotes, but let's read anyway. SPK, the commentary applies the scholastic distinction of the three types of escape, Nisarana, to each hindrance. One escapes from the hindrance by suppression, Vikangbana Nisarana, through jhana. One escapes in a particular respect, Tada Nisarana, through insight, and one escapes by eradication, Samocheda Nisarana, through the supramundane path. Okay, so quick recap, three types of escape. Suppression, which is by jhanas, in a particular respect through insight, and the third one by eradication through supramundane path. Thus, sensual desire is suppressed by the first jhana based on the unattractive nature of the body. Asubha. See text, chapter 8.8, section 10, or paragraph 10, which is we will read later in this chapter, and eradicated by the path of arahantship, since Kamachanda is here interpreted widely enough to include desire of any object, not only sensual desire. The second hindrance, ill will, is suppressed by the first jhana based on the counter to ill will, the wholesome mental states of loving kindness, and eradicated by the path of non-returning. The third hindrance, dullness and drowsiness, are suppressed by the perception of like. In other words, visualization of bright light, like the disc of the sun, of the full moon, and eradicated by the path of arahantship. The fourth hindrance, restlessness and remorse, are suppressed by serenity. Remorse is eradicated by the path of non-returning, and restlessness by the path of arahantship. And I have to scroll down. The last hindrance, doubt, is suppressed by the defining of phenomena, Dhamma Pavadhana, see Visuddhimagga on this section, and eradicated by the path of stream entry. So this footnotes explaining about the commentary saying the five hindrances, what are they suppressed with, the counter for each of the five hindrances, and when are these hindrances completely eradicated, at which stage, at which path. Okay, so that's footnote number 14. The first one that we explore is the first hindrance, the central lust. Okay, okay, actually it's my turn. Suppose, Brahmin, there is a bowl of water mixed with red, yellow, blue, or crimson dye. If a man with good sight were to examine his own facial reflection in it, he would neither know nor see it as it really is. So too, Brahmin, when one dwells with a mind obsessed by sensual lust, even those texts that have been recited over a long period do not recur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited. Yeah, this is very true, right? A man with good sight, when we examine our own facial reflection in a bowl with full of colorful dye, and of course it's hard to see. Then for sensual lust, for example, we want to observe our breath, and suddenly the thought, oh, I'm hungry, I want to have lunch. What should I have for lunch? Then this will hinder our observation of phenomena. Yeah? To see something as it really is, because we have other thoughts obstructing our observation. Okay, Sister Sakya, would you like to continue?
Again, Brahmin, when one dwells with a mind obsessed by ill will, overwhelmed by ill will, and one does not understand as it really is, the escape from arising ill will, on that occasion, one neither knows nor sees as it really is one's own good, or the good of others, or the good of both. Then, even those texts that have been recited over a long period do not recur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited. Suppose, Brahmin, there is a bowl of water being heated over a fire, bubbling and boiling. If a man with good sight were to examine his own facial reflection in it, he would neither know nor see it as it really is. So too, Brahmin, when one dwells with a mind obsessed by ill will, even those texts that have been recited over a long period do not recur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited. Thank you.
Thanks, Sister Sakya. The simile given here is quite fitting. Ill will is represented by a bowl of water being heated over a fire, bubbling and boiling. This one, if you cook instant noodles, you usually boil the water, you see all the bubbles. Let's say if your hair drops inside, you will not be able to see it because it's boiling and bubbling. Okay, Sister Akim, would you like to continue?
Again, Brahmin, when one deals with a mind obsessed by dullness and drowsiness, overwhelmed by dullness and drowsiness, and one does not understand as it really is the escape from arising dullness and drowsiness. On that occasion, one neither knows nor sees as it really is one's own good, or the good of others, or the good of both. Even though those texts that have been recited over a long period do not recur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited. Shall I continue?
Yes.
Okay. Suppose, Brahmin, there is a bowl of water covered over with water, plants, and algae. If a man with good sight were to examine his own facial reflection in it, he would neither know nor see it as it really is, So too, Brahmin, when one deals with a mind obsessed by dullness and drowsiness, even those texts that have been recited over a long period do not recur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited.
Okay, thanks, Sister. The simile given for dullness and drowsiness: a bowl of water covered with plants, water plants, and algae. Okay, Sister Shomi, would you like to continue?
Again, Brahmin, when one dwells with a mind obsessed by restlessness and remorse, overwhelmed by restlessness and remorse, and one does not understand that it really is the escape from arisen restlessness and remorse, on that occasion one neither knows nor sees that it really is one's own good, or the good of others, or the good of both. Then even those texts that have been recited over a long time do not recur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited. Suppose, Brahmin, there is a bowl of water stirred by the wind, rippling, swirling, churned into wavelets. If a man with good sight were to examine his own facial reflection in it, he would neither know nor see it as it really is. So too, Brahmin, when one dwells with a mind obsessed by restlessness and remorse, even those texts that have been recited over a long period do not recur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited.
Okay, thanks, Sister Shomi. For restlessness or remorse, the simile given here: a bowl of water stirred by the wind, rippling, swirling, and churned into wavelets. Actually, we can do this experiment ourselves. Get a bowl of water, we see the reflection very clear, and then we try to stir it, and see again our reflection. Is it still clear? And that is how restlessness and remorse affect how we see something as it really is. Okay, the last hindrance, Sister Billy, would you like to read?
Again, Brahmin, when one dwells with a mind obsessed by doubt, overwhelmed by doubt, and one does not understand as it really is the escape from arisen doubt. On that occasion, one neither knows nor sees as it really is one's own good, or the good of others, or the good of both. Then even those texts that have been recited over a long period do not occur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited. Suppose, Brahmin, there is a bowl of water that is tepid, unsettled, muddy, placed in the dark. If a man with good sight were to examine his own facial reflection in it, he would neither know nor see it as it really is. So too, Brahmin, when one dwells with a mind obsessed by doubt, even those texts that have been recited over a long period do not recur to the mind, let alone those that have not been recited.
Okay, thanks, Sister Billy. Okay. So for the last hindrance for doubt, simile given here: a bowl of water that is turbid, unsettled, muddy, placed in the dark. With that, we finish the first part of the sutta with 5 similes given for each of the hindrance. Yeah. We will continue with the sutta next time. Any questions or comments? Anything you'd like to add? Okay, if not, would Sister Akim like to do the dedication?
回向，愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，不愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。
Thanks, Sister Akim. Till we meet again, may we be guided by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a hindrance-free Thursday ahead. Thanks, everyone, and see you guys again next time. Bye-bye.